everyone. Welcome to our Conscious Leader Circle. Our session today is focusing on emergency survival foods with macrobiotic healing foods. And this is part one of learning how to use those foods. And every month we gather to support each other through these unprecedented times so we can be grounded, energized, and focused, or as I like to say, centered, connected, and conscious, and live our highest and best lives in any circumstance. So today we're going to talk about, as I mentioned, emergency survival foods. And the amazing thing about these, can you see my, oh no, you probably can't see that. I have to go to screen share. The amazing thing about these foods is that they're not only great for emergencies, but they are great for your health. And oops, sorry, I'm hitting the wrong one. Share screen, emergency. Keep getting that one there. There we go. There we go. Can you see that?
Yep. Everybody
can see it. Okay, great. But they're also good for your general health, for deep healing, and for a spiritual development. So these are all amazing aspects to get out of one fundamental approach to food. So you know who I am. I'm Lidia, health and energy coach. So really, what is macrobiotics? So macrobiotics is an understanding of life itself. We like to say that the word macro means whole, the universe itself, and then biotics, life. So macrobiotics is a flexible and adaptable approach to living that helps you create balance, inner security, and strength through both mental emotional awareness and through food choices. So similar to Taoist philosophy, macrobiotics recognizes universal principles that govern all of life. And in fact, food is just one small application of these universal principles. So we think of macrobiotics as a diet, but it's really an extension of a greater understanding, as I mentioned, of life itself. So these universal principles are guides for life to help you live your highest quality life and stay centered, connected, and conscious in any circumstance, and to support your personal growth and highest evolution. So right now on the planet, it may not seem like it, but we are in fact evolving. And we can have a more difficult or easier experience depending on the information we have access to and how we choose to use it. So in my opponent healing method, I developed 12 ancient principles to help us manage our life based on macrobiotic principles that are called the order of the infinite universe. But macrobiotic food itself is actually healing because it recognizes these principles in both its understanding of what food is, and we'll briefly mention that, and in its application of how best to utilize food to help us heal and grow and evolve. And in so doing, macrobiotics has a bigger connection to life itself that creates such a deep state of balance that it's easier to create peace and abundance for humans and for all sentient beings on Earth. So the modern forefather of macrobiotics, Mitsubishi, he explained that macrobiotics is about 150 years ahead of its time because it recognizes food as both nutrition and frequency or vibration or energy. So this is critical, those two aspects, because there's a lot of understanding from an intellectual point of view of minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. But when we add the awareness and the understanding that everything is energy, one of the universal principles, and that food is also energy or frequency, then we can understand food at its greatest potential for what we want to use it for. So if you want to use it to heal a health condition, if you want to use it for greater mental emotional balance, if you want to use it to survive an emergency or a crisis, and then we have a more efficient approach to apply the foods that we need at the time for our highest and best interest. So the importance of proper selection of food, cooking food, and chewing are considered really essential foundations to returning to true health of body, mind, and spirit. And as I like to say, reclaiming our sovereignty of the true human state as conscious, humane stewards of oneself, first and foremost, and then the planet. So as Michio Kushi has said, cooking itself is the highest of all the arts that humanity has invented. Cooking is a comprehensive art that can bring health, happiness, and peace, or sickness, misery, and destruction. So we all know if we eat junk food, for example, we're not going to feel healthy, happy, and peaceful, as an extreme example. So the interesting thing is that because we have these phenomenal foundations in macrobiotic understanding of food, the emergency survival foods are also foods for spiritual development. And so today we're just going to focus on the number one emergency survival prepared food, and we're going to break it down into why it is that. So the number one food is our rice balls, and we're going to get into that in a minute. So again, to be at our best, to be centered in our core energy, to be connected to our power, our essence, to be conscious of who we are, why we're here, our thoughts, our choices, our actions, our behaviors. It's important to recognize that food is not just nutrition, it's also medicine. And again, whether we're aware of it or not, again, everything is energy. We are being affected by the food that we eat, because the food becomes our blood. So again, in macrobiotics, food is understood as nutrition. So there's a 1-to-7 ratio of minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, as well as the frequency or energy of food. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that today. I have a 3-hour workshop that I used to teach that that will explain that in more detail. But these are some foundational aspects as to why macrobiotics is very powerful, especially at this time, to protect ourselves from external stressors such as 5G, side effects of pharmaceutical drugs, and possible nuclear radiation, or radiation from if you're having medical treatments. Clients that I work with who eat macrobiotic food, or even some aspect of macrobiotics, really help them with the side effects, for example, of chemotherapy and other medical treatments. So without doubt, food becomes our blood and our cells. And I like to say it's one of the original nanomedicines provided by nature itself. So we hear about nanotechnology these days, but nature has provided its own natural nanomedicine that creates our blood and our cells. And food is one of those. So literally, as we know, we are what we eat. And so Michio Kushi recommended brown rice and sea vegetables and rice balls as the top foods for survival. So in his words, bottom line, emergency survival foods. And I know myself when I was healing and I couldn't digest very much, that I was able to live off of brown rice, sea vegetables, rice balls, and a special medicinal drink with kuzu in it when my body, I couldn't digest anything else. And for people who have a hard time with whole grains, Michio Kushi always recommended to soak them properly. You can make like a cream, like a natural cream from preparing the brown rice to slowly reintroduce the complex carbohydrates back into your system. So Michio Kushi said that rice balls with umeboshi plum, which we're going to talk about, and the sea vegetable nori can help sustain a person for 2 to 3 weeks without much physical weakness. And they're also known in sort of ancient Japanese folklore as warrior balls, the rice balls, because the samurai warriors would pack rice balls with nori and take them on their journeys and into battle. But Michio Kushi also explained that the same foods are bottom line foods for spiritual development. And when we include them as part of a healthy diet, plus other activities, like meditation or healthy exercise, breathing, all of those things that we all do now, that we can really have greater spiritual clarity and evolve into higher consciousness. And that's really what happened to me when I was in my deep healing. I didn't really have a big interest in personal development or spiritual development. But when I did the Macrobiotic Healing program, I immediately had very powerful dreams. I always had dreams, but really unbelievable out-of-body experiences into different realms. I always sort of joke and say some people write a book about one of their experiences. I think I've had like thousands of them. I used to have dreams every night about being in people's bodies and being in the earth. And I was shown premonitions of the future of this time with symbols in the sky. And that all opened up when I started doing macrobiotic healing foods in a very committed way for my own physical healing. But then it just opened up my channels. And that's one of the reasons why I believe I'm a very effective channeler of Reiki, is because of the macrobiotic diet. So here's one of the great benefits of these macrobiotic healing foods, sea vegetables, that is cited in a macrobiotic book. So I'll just read this. So plants from the sea may also be protective against nuclear radioactivity. Following the atomic bombing of Nagasaki in 1945, the medical director of St. Francis Hospital, located 1 mile from the epicenter of the blast, saved all of his patients by putting them on a strict macrobiotic diet, high in sea vegetables and other foods high in salt, that would be sea salt, and other minerals. In the 1960s and 70s, scientists at McGill University in Montreal reported that common edible sea vegetables containing a polysaccharide substance that selectively bound radioactive strontium and helped eliminate it naturally from the body. The substance, sodium alginate, was prepared from kombu, a sea vegetable, kelp, and other brown sea vegetables found off the Atlantic and Pacific coastal waters. The evaluation of biological activity of different marine algae is important because of their practical significance in preventing absorption of radioactive products of atomic fission, as well as their use as possible natural decontaminants, the researchers concluded in an article in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, and that's cited from a 1993 book by Michio Kushi in Macrobiotics. So the principle here, again, we're going back to the food as nutritionally able to detoxify, but also vibrationally, from a frequency point of view, strengthen the cells. So an atomic bomb is nuclear fission, and it's explosive. And so to counter, so you see the mushroom cloud type of thing that you see in the videos. But to counter the frequency of that, we want a more contracting solid energy. So in that example, the people that were saved, they not only did not die, they didn't get sick from this nuclear fallout that everyone around them was dying from. And that's because the food, the sea salt, the miso, the sea vegetables, the brown rice, were able to hold the cell structure together and not allow it to disintegrate in the extreme nuclear fission that it was being exposed to. The same with like microwave cooking. Microwave cooking, the food doesn't stay warm because the food's exploded. Like it's not truly heating the cells, and then the cells can maintain the heat. So of course we all know microwave cooking is highly destructive to the cell structure of the foods. So then emergency survival foods. So we're just going to talk a little bit today about rice balls. And anybody that has had rice balls and would like to learn to make rice balls, it's something an amazing gift you give yourself because they're phenomenal foods. And when I used to do my Macro Snacks food service years ago, and people would order rice balls, I would get feedback constantly about how it was the first time in 10 years they weren't constipated, how they had more energy, how they had some detox from it, how they could go hours and hours without feeling fatigued in the middle of a busy workday. So again, rice balls are great to know how to make for survival and to have ingredients in your home. But they're also a food that you can use for yourself on a daily basis. So rice balls, enjoyed in the Far East for centuries, are recognized as one of the most balanced foods. It is the quality, preparation, and especially the combination of ingredients that give rice balls their unique qualities. The rice ball is made of brown rice with umeboshi plum in the center and nori or sesame seeds as an outer coating. Rice balls are the most perfectly balanced, prepared human food and contain the 1:7 ratio of minerals, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates required for optimal human health and balance. In fact, the Japanese would live off of rice balls for weeks during times of crisis or emergency. So we're just going to discuss a bit of the properties of the food that are in rice balls from an energetic and nutritional perspective. So rice supplies a metal type or autumn energy and a sweet taste. The umeboshi in the center supplies the sour spring taste of the plum, the summer energy of the shiso leaves with which it is pickled, and the salty taste acquired during the pickling process. The nori supplies a more floating type energy and a slightly bitter taste. This combination of factors produces a food that is well balanced, and it's possible to eat only rice balls for days without feeling tired or producing any troubles. We don't recommend living off of rice balls forever, obviously, but they certainly are a powerful emergency survival food and a food to support your health. So Micho Kushi recommends brown rice and sea vegetables and rice balls as top foods for survival. So we discussed that already. And they're the perfect fast food for today as well. So you can make them at home, keep them in a sealed airtight plastic container. They'll last 5 to 6 days if stored overnight in a cool temperature, like a fridge or a cool basement. And then you can take them with you throughout the day. You don't have to refrigerate them. So people take them camping and bring them to work or eat them throughout the day. And what I like to do is put them in the fridge and then in the morning, take them out of the fridge or the night before. So when you eat them, they're nice and soft and they taste good. If you eat them cold, they get a little bit dry, sort of like eating a muffin from the fridge, that sort of thing. And then older rice balls can be added to soup, like a dumpling, because they won't fall apart. Or you can break them down and add a little bit of water, or if you have, almond milk or something, and make a nice porridge out of them. So they're phenomenal healing prepared food. And brown rice. Okay, so the other nutritional aspect of brown rice is that it's one of the most balanced of the whole cereal grains. And in fact, human beings evolved through whole grains. And again, in my big 3-hour workshop, I take you through that process of how we understand that based on our teeth and on our own physiology. So brown rice is biologically the most integrated grain, our evolutionary counterpart in the plant world. And it falls in the center of the spectrum of the main cereal grains because of its size, shape, color, texture, and proportion of carbohydrates, fat, protein, and minerals. So in brown rice itself, we have the 1:7 ratio of those minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. So it's the perfect proportion for human balance and adaptability to our environment. So I like to say in macrobiotics, we're looking at nutrition, and we're also looking at energy, frequency, environment. So eating foods that are in our local area, but not so dogmatic, that we won't eat foods that support the human condition if they're from another part of the world, because that's still the same principle. And evolution. So we actually evolved with whole grains, and as we're evolving now on the planet, these foods are going to greatly support our physical vessel so that we can evolve into higher consciousness. And at the same time, protect ourselves from any emergencies that may arise. So here I have a chart, the composition of brown rice, showing, per 100 grams edible portion. So protein, fat, calories, water, fiber, calcium, all of those things, vitamin A, potassium, sodium, iron, and all of these charts are readily available. The next ingredient in rice balls is the pickled plum in the center, umeboshi plum, known as the king of alkaline foods. And umeboshi contains protein, minerals, and fat in twice the amount found in other fruits. So there's calcium, iron, and phosphorus that are higher in quantity than other fruits, and it's richer in organic acids than any other fruit. And these aren't broken down in the pickling process. So one really well-aged umeboshi plum is known to cure a hangover. And I take a pickled plum every morning with some kukicha tea. It doesn't taste very good. It's salty sour, but it's not meant to be an enjoyable food. It's meant to be used as a medicine. And then, as we know, we can put it in rice ball sushi, medicinal drinks, salad dressings, kind of like using apple cider vinegar. And then here is the nutritional chart for umeboshi plums, again, of water, calories, protein, fat, fiber, calcium, phosphorus, all of those other things. And then some scientific research on umeboshi. In the early 1950s, Dr. Kiyo Sato from Hirosaki University extracted an antibiotic substance from umeboshi, and with 6 grams of umi extract, he could destroy dysentery germs, and with 9 grams of umi extract, he could destroy dysentery and staphylococcus. So his discovery did not become popular as penicillin and other antibiotics were already in wide use. In 1968, a component was isolated from umi, which has germicidal effect on tuberculosis bacteria. And again, umeboshi is very, very powerful to protect your blood. And, anytime someone feels a cold coming on or their immune system feels a bit drained, taking extra umeboshi is always beneficial. And then sesame seeds are an option on the coating of the rice ball itself. And the other option is the nori sheet, which is the sort of the more perfectly balanced rice ball with the nori sheet. But sesame seeds are also great to put on rice balls, and they contain about 5 times more iron than meat and more than any other plant food except sea vegetables. Sea vegetables are very high in iron. Sesame seeds also contain 10 times more calcium than that of a comparable amount of dairy milk, and they're a good source of protein and B vitamins. And they're a good source of unsaturated fat, so that does not get deposited like saturated bound molecules that get deposited in the body from other sources of fat. And again, a nutritional chart showing the protein, fat, and all the other aspects, iron. And then nori sea vegetable. So that is, we, as I mentioned, often wrap the rice ball in nori. And sea vegetables contain more minerals and vitamins than any other type of food, and are high in complex carbohydrates, fiber, and protein. They're low in fat and are an excellent source of B12. Nori is high in vitamin C, vitamin A, protein, calcium, and iron. It has 2 to 4 times more vitamin A than carrots and 10 times more than spinach. So a lot of us just aren't familiar with how powerful sea vegetables are. And if you're not able to cook your own sea vegetables during a crisis, emergency, if you have sea vegetable powder from the health food store stored up, or even you just take some in your mouth, like sort of sea salt, that will help mitigate any kind of destructive effects on the cells. Ideally, sea vegetables there's a special dish that we have in Macrobiotics that you can cook up a type of sea vegetable. Nori is the stuff that we wrap. It's already been shredded and pressed and it's ready to go. But arame, hiziki, kombu, these are all vegetables that we soak and cook. And you don't need a lot of sea vegetables throughout the week. Just 2 to 3 servings of a third of a cup or half a cup of sea vegetables cooked, or you can have them as a snack, like a nori snack or a sea vegetable powder. So a little bit of sea vegetable goes a long, long way towards supporting your health and protecting against harmful external stressors. And then, so that's a little bit about our rice balls, our famous rice balls, and how they can help you in times of emergency, for your health, for your spiritual development. And then today I'm sharing some bonus recipes for spring cleansing. So some of you may know about the carrot Daikon drink. And this is a recipe from Ichikushi. And I'll just read it out. It's very easy to make. So the beauty of Macrobiotics is the food, for the most part, is easily accessible, and you make it at home. So literally, food is your medicine. So Ichikushi developed this carrot Daikon drink for liver troubles to help discharge eggs, cheese, and beef fat. But it's also helpful in dissolving fat deposits anywhere within the body and quickly reducing high cholesterol. It also helps dissolve calcified stones in the kidneys and gallbladder. And Micho, many years ago, recommended it for many other conditions. And we often use it in cases of heart disease to help dissolve any tumor in the body. The carrot Daikon drink is a very standard medicinal drink to help support these conditions, and it's a great spring cleanse. It's a very deep cleanse, and so the Daikon radish that grows deep in the ground actually has a more yin or dissolving effect, and the carrot has a more yang effect, and together they bring energy deep into the body and then disperse energy. So here again is the frequency or energetic aspect of Macrobiotics, in addition to the nutritional aspect of it. And then we balance the effect of that by adding umeboshi and nori, so that you can take it in a way that produces results for you. So every day for 10 days or every other day for 3 weeks. And the recipe is here, and I can send it to you guys or keep it on the screen. And then the other drink that I absolutely love, but you have to get good quality dried daikon, is dried daikon tea. And all you do is you take a package of shredded dried daikon and you just dump it in 4 cups of boiling water, and then you simmer it. And then you drink the broth. So you'd have maybe 3.5 cups of broth, and then you can have 1 a day. And that's a great spring cleanse as well. It's a lot easier than the carrot Daikon drink. And I take it all the time, just as a gentle cleanse. It also helps to discharge heavy metals from the body. It does all sorts of things. So that is our, and I can share all of these recipes with you. So these are our Macrobiotic Healing Foods, the crash course. But I wanted to share them with everyone because, as we know, we have a lot of external stressors, physically, vibrationally, coming at us at this time, also mentally, emotionally. So the stronger our core energy is, the stronger our cells are. Then it's easier for us to not feel overwhelmed, not feel anxiety about what's happening in the world or in our life. And then we can go forward and continue to evolve. So any questions from anybody? I know I covered a lot, but it was a little introduction to macrobiotics and to the aspects of one healing food, prepared food, rice balls.
If you could share them, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll send out the recipes to everybody, and the information sheets that I provided. And chewing is a huge part of macrobiotics. So you don't have to, it doesn't matter what food you eat, the more you chew it, the more you breathe while you're chewing, the more you mix your saliva with your food, the greater the ability of the body to absorb those nutrients and to digest. So in macrobiotics, digestion begins with cooking and then chewing. And then also chewing helps make you more alkaline and helps to activate the liver. So there's all sorts of very simple, very powerful and effective ways to stay healthy that doesn't cost a lot of money. Okay, any other? It's 11:40. Oh, Vivian, yeah.
Hi, Lydia. Thank you. I was able to get on here while my team is on the other Facebook.
Thank you.
Or on the iPad. But I've actually, thank you, because when COVID first started, you had a little session with my group about this, and I never actually did do it. Like, I have to say, and I have the notes on it, and thankful to get the recipes again. Where do you get this good Daikon?
Any groceries, well, I shouldn't say any, major grocery stores generally have Daikon. It depends on your neighborhood. But Metro, Loblaws, Oriental markets will have.
And what does it look like? What does it look like?
It's like a giant white radish.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a carrot.
And any specific carrots, like I guess we should buy the fresh carrots. You know how those carrots are packaged and they've probably been over processed, so there's nothing left. You get those packages of those little tiny carrots that are probably pushed in a machine, and I never buy those. And then there's like carrots that are they're the slender carrots. And then there's the big chunky carrots that you get. Like, there's 3 different type of carrots in stores these days.
Well, especially in the spring, if you can get carrots with tops, they're a bit harder to find.
Okay.
Organic carrots
with the top.
If they have the dirt on them, even better. Like that's a bit
right. Yeah, right.
And in the old days in macrobiotics, they used to say, and I don't know if it's still true because of advances in organic farming, but they used to say if a carrot is a bit crooked, right, it's growing through the soil in a natural way, then it has a greater life force. But we want to stay away from the mini carrots that are packaged.
Right.
I saw Yana shaking her head. Maybe Martin can comment as well. That I think I don't know if the organic ones, but they're all peeled and they're all, I think, dropped into some sort of chemical solution. Yeah. You can smell them when you open the package. There's something not right about them. So I don't know if maybe like Martin or someone here knows more about that, but I'd stay away from the baby carrots. And you can't really use the baby carrots in the carrot Daikon drink. They're too difficult to grate. Bigger carrots to.
I haven't bought them in years, but I just was wondering what you thought about
and
them.
Then for the packaged carrots, if it says organic and it's it's packaged as an organic brand, then we assume that people are being honest. And I would go with we can only hope.
Yeah, I like when the markets come out, then you get the real carrots when you're up north. Joan, I want to ask you about the sesame seeds. What sesame seeds do you buy? Again, there's you can get sesame seeds in all sorts of different forms, and I never know what's really the real,
Yeah, brown sesame seeds. Yeah, so brown sesame seeds. If you can get them, brown or black. Black sesame seeds are harder to find. But brown and black sesame seeds. You don't want any kind of white sesame seeds if you can help it.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, and then
you get them in bulk.
Yeah, sorry. If you can get them toasted, even better. Usually, you can get toasted black sesame seeds from the health food stores. and brown sesame seeds. But I toast my own. You can get in bulk. I don't know if Bulk Barn sells them or who would sell them, but
Yeah. How about ambrosia? Anybody know about ambrosia?
yeah, Yana says Bulk Barn doesn't. I don't know because I get my stuff wholesale. But you can get brown sesame seeds in bulk, organic brown sesame seeds, and then the easy way to toast them is you just rinse them in a fine strainer, a fine mesh strainer, so they don't fall through the strainer. And then you put a very thin layer on very low heat in a frying pan and just leave it, and the water will evaporate, and then they'll start to pop.
Oh.
And
Okay.
it's very easy to do, and it smells delicious. Your whole house smells like toasted sesame seeds, and then they're so good on the rice balls, like when they're freshly toasted.
Super.
Oh yeah, Tanya says the big
carrot.
carrot in Lawrence Market in Toronto. Yeah, it has
Thanks,
some good
Tanya.
stuff.
I'm up north, so I'm wondering what's
There's all food stores that deliver now. There's all kinds of health food stores that have delivered because of COVID.
Good idea.
Any locations, and I think even, but I like talking to the stores directly, because if you order from like an Instacart or an Uber Eats or something, they usually take like 30%, so it really cuts out the profit margins for the stores. So I like to call the stores directly and ask them before I show up. And especially during COVID times, a lot of them were making delivery arrangements, or you could go pick up at the door. Like now that we're opening things up, it's a little different.
Okay, super. Thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Jonah, and everybody else who had their head shaking. And okay.
Teresa, did you have any questions? Teresa's on the phone with us.
Yes, Lydia. My goodness, she must be very psychic. But my Polish background, we used to eat a lot of the small red radishes.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they're connected, like, to the Daikon radish. And what do you think about the condiment called horseradish, which is basically, there's a combination where it's a mixture of beets with horseradish. Is that also healthy, or what do you think about that?
Well, the little red radishes are radishes like the Daikon. They're in the same family, so they certainly have fat dissolving properties and dispersing properties, but not to the extent that the Daikon radish does. So that's how we refine the foods for specific purposes in healing and for what we want, what our aim is. Like sea vegetables are also very good. They strengthen the nervous system. So they're very, very good for anxiety. The kombu tea, where you just simmer a piece of kombu for a while. I can share that recipe. I think I have it in my newsletter this past week. That helps so much with stress and anxiety and overwhelm, because sea vegetables strengthen the nervous system. So yes, and then the condiments that you can make from nature, like horseradish as a root, it's like the root of the horseradish is used. You can add all sorts of different things depending if you want to have strong stimulation. So in Macrobiotics, we don't use those, we don't use a lot of overly strong stimulation. A little bit, like, a horseradish with sushi as a treat, that sort of thing. Or we use just a little bit of ginger. We don't want the principle in Macrobiotics is to create balance, literally, so that you're not having an extreme effect from an extreme input. So if you're eating, let's say, meat, then people add like lamb and mint jelly, or steak and red and black pepper, or horseradish, or chicken paprikash with spices. So these all evolved to create balance, to help digest the meat and to minimize the extreme contracting effect of the one food, that which is meat. But if you don't have those extreme inputs, then you don't need to balance it with other extreme things to minimize the effects of it. So overstimulation spicy or very strong condiments can be overactive, for example, like the spleen and other aspects in the body. Does that help? I can talk all day.
Yes, it does. Thank you, yeah.
So red radishes are great. I mean, red radishes are really healthy. They're a great little fat dissolving food that if you like them, absolutely. We often use red radishes in pickled, like we press them raw and put a little bit of sea salt and then make a very light, crunchy, like a pickle, but like a salad out of it. So we often have, you know, in the West, people put red radish slices in salads, and that helps to disperse the heaviness of the meal as well, right? So there's a reason why we eat the way we do, but we don't always know why, right?
So does the red radish also help with digestion? Like, because I have a lot of problems with digestion, and I feel like every time I eat something with a red radish or horseradish, and I'm eating more and more Daikon, that it does in fact help my digestion. Is the red radish also good for that?
Yeah, especially if you slightly press it in sea salt to activate the enzymes from the raw radish. So that will kind of it'll kind of be a more balanced way of supporting you than just eating it raw, because some people have a hard time just eating straight raw food. So in Macrobiotics, we refine that to give the body the greatest opportunity to digest and to balance itself energetically as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we go into our long distance Reiki session? Or I'm going to turn off the recording.
I have a question
okay.
about just asking in the chat if I can use my juicer to make the carrot and daikon drink, which really kind of presses everything to a pulp, and then it would that be good?
I would hand grate it for a number of reasons. It doesn't take very long to do it once you've done it, because you're not using a lot of carrot and daikon. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's not, you want to eat the pulp. So
Okay.
yeah, so
It keeps the pulp. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to eat the pulp. It's like a soup.
Okay, got it.
One drink. Yeah, it's like a soup. So, you know, I'd rather have somebody eat it partially than not eat it at all. So that's why I sort of hesitate, right? It's like miso. You know, people will say, well, can I just put a spoon of miso in my cup and add hot water? And yeah, you can do that, but you're not getting the greatest benefit of it simmering and, you know, as a broth, right? There are subtle principles. So with the carrot daikon drink, you hand grate the daikon and the carrot in a small amount, and then you add it to the water, and then you bring it to a boil, let it simmer, and then you add the umeboshi and the nori and the shoyu sauce. It's just only a few drops of it, and it becomes like a soup, and it creates like a big bowl, and then you eat that. So, and also from a pure macrobiotic foundational perspective, for healing, we try not to use electrical appliances because it's very disruptive to the chi or the energy of the food. But having said that, we still want people to get healthy food in their body. So, and if someone does juicing with a juicer, we're not opposed to that as a juice, right? But Michio Kushi would teach, if you want to have your own carrot juice, then you grate it and then squeeze it through a cheesecloth. But in today's world, that's not too popular. I don't.
Well, I mean, I have a cheesecloth to do certain things, but so how much, I didn't read the actual ingredients because I'm on my phone, so I couldn't see everything properly. So I was taking screenshots with my phone, but how much, can you just explain again how many, is it 2 tablespoons of carrot and daikon?
Let's just go back for you here 1 second. I'm going to go back to share screen.
It's a half a cup.
It's a half a cup. Okay. So half a cup of a grated carrot. So that doesn't take very long. A half a cup of carrot and daikon, or a half a cup each?
Yeah, both.
Okay, so that doesn't take too long every day. And
Yeah.
then how long does it take for the umeboshi? I can't read the screen. I have to. Okay, now I can see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for showing me that again. Thanks.
yeah, and I can send it off. So the standard recipe is a half cup, but sometimes we'll do more if we want to have a deeper effect in the body, if there's a larger tumor or a deeper cleanse required. So these are guidelines as a standard recommendation. And it's actually very easy. Once you've made it 2 or 3 times, it's very, very easy. You just grate, you grate the carrot and daikon, and then
Right.
add 2 cups of water or more, depending on the ratios we're using. And then you have
Right.
the sheet of toasted nori ready to go, and
Right.
the umeboshi plum to chop. A half a plum takes 30 seconds to chop that. And then you add the nori and the umeboshi to the simmering carrot and daikon. And the whole thing, once you've done it a few times, the entire thing from beginning to end shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. I mean,
Right.
the actual cooking part is very short, like 5 minutes.
Right. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for going over that again. That's
Oh, yeah,
wonderful.
what we're here for. Yeah.
I'm going to have to run, but I was
Sure.
so inspired by this recipe. And you mentioned that it's for tumors. So you've shrunk tumors successfully with this?
In macrobiotics, yes. And I've had many clients over the years whose tumors have dissolved, usually as part of a healing protocol. But the beautiful thing about macrobiotics is you can take it in the aspect or the part of it that you feel comfortable with. It's not all or nothing. So for example, this carrot daikon drink, many people who just have a regular Western diet use it to dissolve clogged arteries and high blood pressure. It helps with high blood pressure.
A friend of mine has a tumor on her spine, so she's not able to go to the bathroom anymore because it's pressing on her bladder. So she has to catheterize, and she can't walk that well anymore as a result. And so I was thinking I would ask her to call you and go through this with her.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be honored to. And the food, these principles of nutrition and energy or frequency will always apply. They're comprehensive. How the extent to which you get the result you want from them depends on the extent to which you apply it.
Right. Okay.
But they'll
Thank
always
you.
be beneficial. Oh, my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Have a blessed weekend and catch up soon, everybody.
Yes,
Bye.
yes. Lots of blessings to you, Tanya. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah, my friend Lily loves that vegetable in soup.
The
It's
daikon?
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible in the soup.
Like in any soup, like miso soup, any soup?
Well, no, she has a specific soup, but I won't give you the recipe, but it's really good.
Well, daikon can be used. We can do another session on fat dissolving foods, and daikon can be used throughout any of your cooking. You don't have to change your diet. You can put it in soup. You can have it in stir fries. You can have it as stew. A lot of my clients just slice it thin and snack on it like a cucumber. And so any way you can add daikon into your diet can actually be life-saving for you. I've worked with many clients who are healing from advanced cancer or very difficult to treat cancers. And maybe they didn't want to fully do macrobiotics, they were drawn to other things. But when they incorporated daikon radish on a daily basis, and miso soup on a daily basis, and kukicha tea and umeboshi, and often the carrot daikon drink on a regular basis for them, they continue to do well, even though they're not following the entire macrobiotic protocol. So this is how I like to share macrobiotics, is provide the foundational elements of it, and then you decide what feels comfortable to integrate into your life and for what purpose and what reason. But I've been very impressed with the results that clients get over the years when they actually don't really follow the macrobiotic diet per se, but they follow some of the principal foods. They utilize the principal foods on a daily basis or a regular basis. It's been quite impressive in my 25 years of supporting clients this way. So it's not all or nothing, right? We want to make sure everyone is in their own empowerment, you know, and doesn't feel that they are, you know, unhappy, you know, like doing something, right? Even though sometimes to make change, you know, we have to push ourselves, right, to do it. But that's something different. Yeah, I have many clients who eat meat and they have Daikon radish with their meat. That's what they do in the Orient. And they have carrot Daikon drink regularly and dried Daikon tea regularly. And it's really amazing how these simple, affordable foods are really doing wonders for them, even though they're eating foods we wouldn't recommend for health and healing otherwise. So it's a free will universe, right? So we want to always honor that. Anything else? It's 12 o'clock. I know some of you have to leave. We haven't done our long distance Reiki, but we're here to talk about healing foods today. So anything else? Anyone, questions, comments?
How does it help varicose veins? Would it help with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because you want to get the circulation going and you want to help with the dissolving effect. But certainly the foods that we discussed today could help that. And, you know, changing the diet as well, like with varicose veins, like getting off of dairy and cheese and meat, that sort of thing. And of course, for specific health conditions, we always recommend a macrobiotic consultation to fine tune it. But any of the foods we discussed today are going to be helpful for that, especially circulation and the ability of the body to like both the microcirculation and the macrocirculation, and to be able to have the expansion contraction effect, right, in the body of the frequency part of the food. So okay, Mark.
So it could minimize the veins, the varicose veins, but
yes,
it might, or it just won't get worse, kind of thing, I guess.
yeah, it depends exactly. It depends how someone applies it and what else is going on in their health, with their health condition. Yeah, but certainly they're always beneficial. Again, regardless of the, you know, philosophy or approach you take to diet or living, adding these foods are always beneficial. Martin?
Thank you.
Yeah, and just an aside, there's also mindfulness at the time you're cooking and at the time you're eating, and why you're changing your diet. So it just being mindful of the whole process. You know, you're eating this food because you want to get better, and so your mind is in motion to change your diet, change your health. So it helps to have your mindfulness behind it, rather than just, okay, I'm going to have popcorn, I'm going to feel great, you know. So it helps, like, you know, especially during the times are changing, and you know, change your thought and then change your diet, and then it's all continuum, you know.
Absolutely, Martin. I mean, that's exactly the philosophy in macrobiotics. And it works the other way too. So when we change our diet, then we change our frequency, and then it's easier to be more mindful and to have higher consciousness. So it works absolutely both ways. So that's what Martin just described is the ideal approach to honoring self. And when we're cooking, is to be in that space of honoring of self, and be conscious that you are either healing or you want to be in your highest state of being in mind, body, spirit. And that's why macrobiotics the overall mission is global peace, because it's like many other spiritual teachings, peace begins from within. You know, the one person achieves inner peace and continues to evolve. I mean, we don't ever fully, you know, achieve that. And I'm concluded, I have inner peace, but we continue to evolve with that. But then everyone in the community achieves that, and then it extends right throughout the world. So that was one peaceful world was the original mission and intention of Macrobiotics. So that was their very first what's the called, like, publishing name was One Peaceful World Press. They published their own books under One Peaceful World Press. So absolutely, Martin. But at the same time, many people aren't there yet. But so if you just can get the food in your mouth and then like chew it and swallow it, then you'll still get benefits of it. Even if you're not in that state of awareness that Martin said. It's just like any type of healing. The more you are embracing it and receiving it, then it will have greater exponential effects for you. But you don't have to have all of the other awareness around it for it to have a benefit, some benefit for you. Okay, anything else for today? We'll have to have a full workshop on it, and it has been some interest expressed for a Healing Foods retreat at my place. If anyone's interested, let me know. Maybe like 2 days, you know, making rice balls and cooking, and so I'm open to that. So I'm here to support you guys if that's something you'd like to do, or eventually I'll get my 8-part Macrobiotic Healing Foods cooking class series online, but I haven't done that yet. Trying to get 30 years of content online in my spare time.
You blow me away with everything that you're doing.
Sounds great.
Honest to goodness. Amazing. We thank you for it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Vivian. We're all here to share, and yeah, it's a journey for all of us to support each other, and that's what the Conscious Leader Circle is about: is to support each other in these unprecedented times and going forward, so that we don't feel alone. And just the dialogue, just being able to talk about different aspects of health and life and well-being is really important. So thank you all for being part of our beautiful circles. And so anything else before I'm going to do the long distance Reiki, but I understand if you have to leave, it's 12:07. I respect everybody's time. And so does anybody want to do a guided meditation, or are we going to do silence today?
Sure. Guided meditation.
I think a guided meditation would be
Yeah.
lovely.
But does anybody want to lead it?
Oh, lead it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's what I meant. Richard isn't joining us today. So I don't have a guided meditation. I can't really talk and channel energy, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time in an effective way. I can respond to clients during Reiki, but I'd rather be focused on one or the other. But I did do a couple of recordings of guided meditations for core energy. And
how about Martin? Martin?
Are you right? Martin's not ready. We weren't prepare. We're not going to
Standard.
No, I didn't realize she's going to offer a Reiki energy healing. That's fine. I think that's enough.
Usually we do both. Like we do both.
Okay, so silent.
Yeah.
We'll do silent. We're just as happy with silent.
Okay. Okay, so let's all take a nice deep breath, and I will mute once I start. And imagine yourself in a beautiful place, in perfect health in every way. And that infinite river of golden white light coming in, healing every cell in your body, and releasing anything that no longer serves you.